Hi, my name is Prayag and this is the second video of this Blender tutorial. So in this episode, we're going to be talking about how to move around in Blender and all the important buttons basically. So as you can see, it looks really intimidating. There's so much buttons. There's all of these and they completely make no sense at all. There's all of these stuff up top too. Um, and there's these buttons, and there's, of course, our actual animating tool. So we'll keep this down for now because we don't really need it. So we'll start by moving around in the viewport. So as you can see, moving around like this is you want to hold your middle mouse button. Um, it would be really nice if you had a mouse. It helps a lot. So I think the two main components that you need to move around is a mouse and a numpad. Um, so to get it to move around like this, as I said, you gotta hold your middle mouse button and move it around to like that. To zoom in and out, scroll your middle mouse button. If you don't have a mouse or you just you just feel like this way is better, you can drag this around to move like that. Um, to move away like easier, like if you have a huge set and you want to put say something right here, but then you're like right here, what you want to do is you want to hold shift and hold your middle mouse button and move your middle mouse button around to get to your get where you want to be really quickly. Then we're going to talk about side view. So if I on my top right, as I showed before, if I click on X, I can go into my X side view. Click on Y, I can go to my Y side view, and if I click on Z, I could go into top view. So if I go right here, so now like this is my Y, and this is bottom Z, and this is top Z. So if I'm going on bottom Z, it's on the bottom right there. As you can see, my camera is upside down. So I'm just gonna flip that up like that. So those are how you move around. Oh, I forgot about the numpad. So why I said numpads were really important is that one, you go into side view, one, like you press one to go into the X side view, then 3 to go into the Y side view, and then 7 to go into the Z side view. So that's that. Then we're going to talk about what's in here. So when you start Blender, you get a cube, a light, and a camera. So as you can see right here, you can see in the top right that there's a camera, a cube, and a light. So every time you add a new component, it will show up in here. So the light, what the light is basically, when you finally finish your animation, this light kind of acts like the sun. It determines where your shadows are, where your light is, basically like that. Your camera is what is like how the actual animation will look like. So to go into camera, you gotta press 0 on the numpad, and as you can see, if this animation was completely finished, it would look like this. So you could press 0 to go into camera on the numpad. You could scroll. You could press your middle mouse button to get out of the camera view. Or you could press 0 again to get out of camera view. But if you want to close up on your image, you could scroll up, scroll to get out and zoom in. So that's the camera, and then we have this cube right here. So this cube is the first object that Blender gives you, and basically what an object is an object. Like it is what you animate with. So actually we're going to be animating with this cube right here. So we could move around with this cube. And you can make it go places. So, and I'll get right into that. So how to move your cube around is you gotta press G, and you can move it around wherever you want. But say that you want to move your cube around the x-axis only. Then you press G, then X, and as you can see, just the x coordinate became a little bit lighter. and then whenever you move it anywhere around, it just stays on the X line. But say that I want to go to the Y axis, then I press G and then press Y, and as you can see, the Y axis now lit up a little bit, and wherever you move, it will only go on the Y axis. But what if you want to go on the Z axis, as again, you press G and then Z, and you move it around like that. You don't have to drag it, it's just it just follows your cursor. Now the buttons and where everything is, I already went over some of them, like right here. Well, we haven't went over everything else. So this right here is the actual animation, like where we actually animate this. So these numbers right here are the frames. So if we drag it all the way to 250, nothing has changed because we haven't animated yet. But you can determine when the start is and the finish. So it starts in frame 1 and ends in frame 250, but you could change it at will. If I could say 20 if I want, and as you can see, it just became much darker. So let's just change that back to 250. Yeah, so we'll get into animating this later, so this is not that important right now. But when we get into animating, this is actually everything. So over here is a bunch of tools. We're not going to be worrying about all of this. Probably what we're going to be worrying about is, like, the most important ones would be, like, as of right now, it would be the modifiers tool. So it's not showing up. So you can click it. Yeah, just like that. So this I forgot what it's called. Was it wrench? Yeah, I think it was a wrench. But this wrench is this wrench button is where you add your modifiers. And we're not going to be going over it right now, but basically a brief explanation on what a modifier is that helps you, it just helps you with your objects and stuff. Like, I think we could go over one of them. So I'll go over one called, I don't know what to do. We'll do array. So as you can see, just like suddenly turned into a rectangular prism. That's because my count is 2. So basically, what an array does is that you could quickly increase your how much objects you have. So I'll keep it at 1. We'll go over this later, but like, yeah, that's pretty much what an array does. Like, we won't be going over modifiers, I don't think, in this course, but I think I'll give a little bit more of an explanation in future future episodes. So we'll go over these buttons. This is like the select. So if it's say that it's like right here, and then we go right here, this will enable us to click on everything and move them around. So see, as you can see over here, if I click G, I can move this around. What if you clicked on G but then you realize that you didn't want to move it around? So what you can do is click right click and it'll go into the original position. There's also 2 other things you could do. So we'll go to the first one, which is scale. So you press S and drag it to increase the area of it, the size. So I'll click right click. But what if you want to make it into a rectangle on the Y axis? So I click S and then Y, and then when I drag it, look, isn't that cool? So if same thing with X, if I do it with X, there you go, and as you can see, it's a giant rectangle. I'll click right click. Same with Z2. You could make it into a giant tower if you want, if you're like want to make a skyscraper or something. Yeah, so that's pretty much for scaling. And then there's also rotating. So R to rotate. And as you can see, I can rotate it like this. I can rotate it really cool. But say that I want to rotate it on the X axis. And I think you already know this, but R and then X. And as you can see, it's rotating on the x-axis. So yeah, that's a little bit of rotating. And our y to rotate on the y-axis, and our z, or z to rotate like that. There's also multi-dimensional rotating, or I think that's what it's called, I'm not sure. But if you click on rotate and then say X, so it moves like this, and then Y, so it moves like this. I think it was like that. Rotate X, Y. Or was that scaling? Scaling X, Y. Oh, that's weird. I'll try to find that out later, but that's not important right now, at least. So yeah, that's pretty much it. That's everything important. As you can see, these top ones right here. We'll get into this later, but these are really just other versions of this. If you don't know what I mean, for example, modeling. I'll just call this edit mode, because that's what I like to call it. Basically, could edit, so move this around like that. But I won't do that right now. We'll go into that later. So to go into modeling or edit mode, as I like to say, you go to this top button right here, and you go to edit mode, and you'll get this exact same window. But I'll go into object mode right now. As I said, as you can see, it already went to object mode. But another shortcut to go into object mode is tab. Click tab, and go into edit mode. These are some like other things we could do. For example, a timeline graph editor. We won't go over this in this course, but maybe later I'll show it. So, sculpting is if you want to add like cool shapes and stuff, like as you can see right here. Textures is like adding texture and like colors and stuff. We won't be going over shading. We could do normal shading in our viewport. Animation is the same thing as in our layout. This is literally animating right here. It's just a cooler way. Like over here, it just shows like what the final animation will be like in camera view, and this is what it like your viewport is. So it's literally the same thing. Rendering. We could go to rendering right here. Rendering is also in the layout. I'll show that later too. And yeah, most of it is all in the layout. So if you feel like you like going in here, you can do that, of course. But yeah, that's the basic. That's the basic. That's the viewport for you. So it's really complicated at first. It does seem like a lot. I think I tried to start learning Blender in like April, I think. Yeah, April. And then I quit until May because it was just so like advanced, and I thought it was only like advanced, like people who had experience before could do it, even though I had none. And it just seemed such an abomination. Like there was buttons everywhere, and I didn't know what each thing did, every control. So yeah. So that's the viewport for you. I hope you learned something. If you did, don't forget to like and subscribe. And thank you.